Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am back with my European correspondent, Mr. Brian Larson.
I know it's funny to be here on NorCal Cycling, and we're talking about, I don't know, Dutch or European races today. So this should be something a little different.
Good to have you back, man. This is a race from Netherlands. This is our buddy Frank Vandenbroek. If you missed his first Aldi Bollen race, I'm going to put a link to that right now. That was a fun one. And he sent me another one. This is a bigger race. This is a Dutch crit. Should I take a stab at the name of it?
Good luck. I can't. I got nothing.
Vonsdrecht. Something like that.
Yeah, it sounds close. It sounds Dutch. You throw in a little sounds and you're good to go.
It's a 2-hour crit. It's crazy, and it's full of continental pro-European guys. And then our buddy Frank, who is a club racer, who's only 19, by the way. This dude is chock full of talent. And what else about this race? It's got cobbles, it's got rain, it's got narrow roads. It's everything you'd expect from a European race.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's basically like nothing you would actually see in the U.S. I'm pretty sure they would never grant a race permit to something like this in the U.S. But I mean, it's got every cliche European bike racing experience that you could possibly imagine, and I think it shows a lot of talent just to navigate this course and get to the finish line, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, the little mini-map you guys will see in a minute. That little mini-map doesn't do it justice. There are a ton of little corners and pinch points and narrow, windy descents that don't show up on that map. So with that said, let's dive into the footage right from the start, because the fireworks go off right from the whistle pretty much. All right, Brian, I referred to you as my European correspondent as a joke, but the truth is you raced in Europe, and that's why I was excited to have you on for this race. You raced in the Netherlands, and you were 23 years old at the time, right? So this is like the field that you would be racing in.
Yeah, it's exactly very similar to the races. It's been a couple years, but it really throws me back down memory lane, that's for sure.
Speaking of lanes, this is like single lane. What's it like lining up with a bunch of pros who get paid to do this? I mean, Frank's heart rate's at 144. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I probably would be about the same. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. There's like 9 guys wide, and we're gonna see here how fast they take off. Like it's a finish of a crit, and honestly, it's the first 5 seconds here. And I mean, even here, a rider comes by basically in the dirt just to pass and get to the front.
There was no road for him to ride on right there. He just found space. And that's so important on these races with narrow roads, technical corners, is getting a good starting lineup, and that's what Frank has done, and then getting a really fast start. And you can see that's what everyone else is doing. They're already up to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a slinky effect that is underappreciated by U.S. racers because we're not on these really narrow courses like you see here. And that's why it's almost like you would see in a mountain bike or cyclocross race where everyone is just so anxiously getting to the front, as we see Frank here is just diving up the right side because he knows there's actually a hill coming up here, and that slinky effect and compounding effects that if you're 10, 15, 20 wheels back could be catastrophic, and the brake could go. In fact, there's already, I think, people off the front. I don't even know how that's possible, but I think there was already people off the front, or they're going off right now here. So
it's already starting to fragment for sure, because you can see it's technical and it's windy, and this is like definitely a hard man's course. And it's good news for Frank, because Frank, as you guys remember from the Aldi Bollen race, Frank is a tough dude. And by the way, he put this in the notes, Frank has also lost 9 kilograms since he last posted that race in January. So he's even better on these technical courses where being lightweight makes a big difference. And then, surprise, this course also has this climb that they're on right now, a cobbled climb, which is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see it's the first time up, and they're already attacking. And I think again, it's Frank appreciating the fact that you have to respond to every move, even if they're those early moves. I mean, he's at 187 beats per minute, and it's rare that I see somebody with a heart rate that high, because usually my heart rate's that high. So I feel you, Frank. I feel that. But this is definitely already fragmenting, and they're already catching guys. Look at, there's 4 guys up the road already, and I don't even know how that happens.
Well, I had to say there was a climb because Frank went up it so fast. I wish we had power data. I'm sure he was doing some ungodly number of watts from the Aldi Bollen race. I mean, this dude Frank has an FTP up in the high 300s, I suspect. So he went up that hill like it wasn't a hill, and then already we have separation. And And this is the beginning of the breakaway. I think a couple more riders bridge, but this is pretty much it right here, you guys. Like, it can happen that quickly in a race. And here we have actually legit European cobbles, by the way, not our American like bricks.
Yeah, that was pave. That was proper pave right there. But yeah, I mean, everyone in those early stages as the group's accelerating, effectively everyone's doing the same work, right? So might as well catapult off of that, because it's basically impossible for somebody to be like recovering or sitting in, because they're going berserk on the first lap. I mean, 187 beats per minute, 190 beats per minute. I'm sure they're doing 600 watts over that hill. Nobody's fresh. Nobody's taking it easy.
Yeah, so this is the final breakaway, like I said, that's going to make it to the finish. There's going to be some drama we're going to get to later. I would tell you guys who all these riders are and their team names and things like that, but it's in Dutch, and I would just make a total ass of myself, so I'm going to not do that. What I'm going to do instead is say that there are 9 riders in this group, 7 of which are like legit U23 pros, and then it's Frank and then another guy who are considered club riders. That doesn't mean they're not fast, because these guys are ripping this course now. You're not going to see it dip below 30 very often. So let's cut forward a bit, Brian, and let's kind of see how this 9-rider breakaway unfolds, because 9 is kind of a weird number. I feel like that's a bit too large to come into the finish. Let's see how that unfolds. All right, we are like an hour and 40 minutes later. Remember, guys, this is over 2-hour crit. 75 Ks, an hour and 40 minutes later. We're getting close to the end. There's only 16 kilometers left. And this group of 9 has been working together. They've established their gap. But like I said before, 9 is just a little bit too big, I think, for a breakaway just to roll nicely all the way to the finish. So you always expect fireworks, and this hill seems like a pretty good launching place to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect launching place. It's about 20 minutes out. The pace is high, 183 beats per minute, which is, I mean, it's a little low for Frank. But, this rider on the front's taking a good pull, but his teammate, boom, right on cue.
Yeah,
it's off.
Like you said, teammate. I mean, that the timing of that was not by mistake. He's looking at his teammate on the front. That's always a great time to attack. And now Frank is now finding himself at the front, but Frank's like, well, no. Like, I'm in this group with 7 other pros. I have no teammates. Well, I'm going to let the pros with teammates chase that back. It's kind of their obligation. That's a smart move by him. And I should mention, while Frank is falling back and letting these pros chase that break back, the pre-race favorite actually crashed right behind Frank. It was out of camera, unfortunately, but he went full Hincappy, and you never want to go full Hincappy.
Yeah, he broke his steerer off right at the stem, so that's never a good time. And especially after doing so much work to get into this move, to have it kind of to fall flat on your face a little bit.
Can you imagine an hour and 40 minutes later, all of a sudden, just like you face plant because your handlebars fall off your bike?
Yeah, well, it's better there than it is on this stretch here on the cobbles, the proper cobbles that they're about to drop into, and I mean they're going 30 an hour, or I'm sorry, 30 miles an hour, 40.
It's like the cheese grater.
Yeah, it's not a good time to go down on these cobbles, but this rider in front of Frank, he's got his teammate off the front, and he's kind of just following wheels here. And I think, it was right through this corner where there's a nice proper rear slip there, and then boom, just like that, at that speed, that's like 5 bike lengths, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, little gaps opening up, and then now there's attacks going off the front, and they still haven't even pulled that guy back. So Frank, the alarm bells are going off for Frank. So Frank's smart. He's like, oh, I better jump on this. Now he's up to a nice proper 189 beats per minute, because that's our 19-year-old friend Frank's heart rate is like a hummingbird's. And what does Frank do right here? Well, he's a tough guy, like we said before. So he's like, well, the brake is caught. I'm going to start my own. So he just does this massive counter through the start finish, and he wants to start his own thing because he's a big FTP, sustained effort type rider who can do a very slow burn and isn't necessarily great at like a big punchy sprint. So what Frank wants to do at this point is not be facing 8 other riders. He wants to be facing maybe 2 other riders, 1 other rider, or maybe even come in solo. That's his plan to win this race. So that was the point of that effort, was to launch a counterattack and reduce the field, and he's done that successfully. Now he's with this other rider here who has a teammate behind in the chasing group, and he's with a third rider who's going to come into frame in a second, who also has a couple of teammates in the field behind, I believe. So what does that mean about the chasing group, Brian? If you have brake mates who have teammates behind, they're unwilling to chase, right?
Yeah, so, to an outside observer, you would say, okay, there's 3 in the front, there's 4 behind. It's 3 versus 4. But in actuality, these other 2 have teammates. So it's actually 3 versus 2 because they kind of cross, they cancel each other out. So those are good odds. This break is probably going to go the distance.
He said in his notes that at this point, the amount of work he's doing in this group with 2 like legit U23 pro riders is he's doing the least amount of work as possible to keep these guys happy. He's trying to lean on them as much as possible, but you got to rotate. If you want something to work, you can't just sit on. So he does continue rotating like you're seeing here. Let's fast forward and kind of see how it plays out for the finish. All right, so now we're on the last lap. Check it out, 1,800 meters to go, and I don't know why, but Frank is on the front. Disregard this rider on the right, by the way. He's a lapped rider. Frank's taking the front, and this right here is the reason you don't want to take the front. Frank gets attacked, and instead of leaning on the other pro rider in this break, remember there's 3 riders in this break, Frank's like, no, I'm going to chase this back, which I think is a mistake, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's the one welding it, and I think it's also interesting to read the body language of that rider in front of him, who's admittedly like putting his arm up, he's sitting around, he's coasting, he's saying, I'm not going to take it to the line. So I'm not sure what's being said here, but
everyone's coasting.
I think Frank missed the boat. Yeah, I think he missed the boat here. I mean,
for me, the second that rider turns back and looks and gets off the gas, Frank needs to just absolutely put his head down and jam it. Because remember, guys, there's 2 other riders in this break with Frank, and they are both pros. And Frank is a self-admitted non-sprinter, so he needs to go early. And what's he got in front of him? Well, he's got this sharp left-hander at the bottom of the hill he's going through right now, which he should be just blasting through. And then he's got a long cobble section before the flat run into the line. So he needs to establish his gap on that little downhill into the left-hand corner, carry it through those cobbles, and then post up for glory on the finish line. I think that's how he wins this race.
Yeah, and I think, it was, as soon as you make that bottom corner here, it's basically sprinters have another gear, right? When it comes to like 700 meters to go, you're a sprinter, you know this well, right? Like if you smell that finish line, you're not losing the wheel. And I'm sure they're right on that.
At this point, like it's not getting away.
Yeah, they're right on them. And I think, there was kind of some wisdom that was taught to me when I was racing over there, which is like, why pull through when you can attack? And I think Frank missed the opportunity to attack at the top of the hill. And I know he admitted in his comments to say, hey, I was worried about cramping. But, to be honest, he's going to get – if he doesn't attack, he's going to get out sprinting, which is what's happening here. And if he goes for it, I don't know. Maybe he only even has like a 1% chance of it working. But I don't see any chance of it working if he
just leads it out.
Doesn't. Yeah, if he just leads it out for the last K&a-half over cobbles. But, I mean, chapeau, because this is still a very impressive ride for a 19-year-old kid. And I don't think that any of these videos do justice to just how hard these Dutch crits are.
Yeah, I mean, Frank, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Look out for this name, Frank Vandenbroek. He's going to be something real big. Frank, remember us when you're huge, man, because I swear, this dude is so strong, and he's doing nothing but getting stronger as he sends videos in. So it was really fun to comment on this one. Brian, love having you back, man. Always good to have you on the channel, and thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Der var så frem for det bok. Never know it,